Hi everyone, I'm Chuck Kelly, owner of Eclipse Property Management, and I wanted to take a minute just to explain our application process. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that all of our rentals are listed on our website. It's renteclipse.com, and then you just click on residential rentals or commercial rentals depending on what you're looking for. Now I'm going to assume that it's residential rentals for all of this process. So once you go to the website and you see the list, the next thing is you'll want to click on whichever unit you're interested in. If you click in on the unit, then you'll see more information about the unit, including a lot more photos, more information, if they accept pets or students, but most importantly, the availability date on when that unit's going to be available. The other thing to mention is there's an Apply Now button for each unit. That's the button you would push if you wanted to fill out an application, which we're going to talk about in a second. The other thing is at the very bottom of the list, there's a sign up where you can fill out your email address and we'll send you an email every time we add a new rental. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the process for doing an application. The first thing to mention is it's a very highly competitive process. We get a lot of applications for each unit, and we're going to try to pick the most qualified applicant. So you want to be as detailed as possible. Even if it says it's not required, I highly recommend you fill it out. Put as much information on that application as possible and be as detailed as possible. Because we can only use the information that's in the application to screen you and put you through our process, and then ultimately decide if you're going to be the one selected for the property. One question I always get is, what about college students? Number one, we do accept college students for most properties. Some properties will say no students, but it'll be listed on there. And the question is always about income, because a lot of times college kids don't have income. And so the answer is, we got to verify your income somehow. So if mom or dad or parents or friends or somebody is going to give you money, then the college student would need to get a letter from that person and upload that so we can verify that that income is going to be usable for the apartment or for whatever. The other question I always get is, hey, your application says we need to upload our ID and verification of our income, but I don't have a scanner. I mean, we don't have that. And the answer is, number one, you can always get a scanner app. There's apps all over the App Store for iPhone, Android, where you take a picture and it converts it to a PDF. You're welcome to do that. Or even just a photo works. You can always just take a photo with your phone and upload that. That works as well. Just make it as good a photo as you can. The other question is, what about if we have bad credit or criminal history or an eviction on my record? Are you just not going to rent to me because something bad happened in our past? And the answer is no and maybe. We might... That might disqualify you, and it might not. Every case is different, but we don't disqualify anyone just because of bad credit. We're going to look at everything total. And what we're going to do is we actually have lower requirements than most property management companies. And sometimes it will just be that we'll still rent to you, but you'll have to pay a double deposit. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, along with that, it's still a competitive process. So even if you do have a low credit score and you'd have to pay a double deposit, there might be someone who's applying for the same apartment who has a better overall score, and then they would qualify for the unit and be offered it first. The other question is, what about pets? Do you guys accept pets? And the answer is every property is different, right? So some owners will let us consider pets and some don't. But if you click in on the unit and it says pets considered, then the process is we have a form you fill out. You need to go to pet screening. There's a link on the website that you go to and you fill out information about the pet. There's an additional fee for the screening of the pet. And then what we do is we give it to this company called Pet Screening. They check the documentation of the pet, the vet records you upload, the photos of the pet. They do a whole bunch of information and check to make sure that it's not a violent pet or there's no record of it hurting someone or anything. And then they give us a score on the pet. We put that all together with your application, and then we send that to the owner to make a decision on if they want to allow your pet. Now, there's usually an additional fee for the screening of the pet. There's usually increased rent, extra deposit, and then there's usually also an inspection fee for how often we have to come inspect the unit, depending on if your pet qualifies. The other question is kind of similar, is service animals. What do you guys do about service animals? It's basically the same process as pets, except there's no fees. Pet screening will check your vet records, but they'll also check your doctor records. They'll double check to make sure there's no fraudulent stuff and that you have all the right paperwork, that you are actually disabled and need the service animal for your disability, and they'll do all that. Okay, the other question I get is, what's the process? How's that work? How long does it take to find out if I get the property or not? And the answer is, we process all our applications on Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays, but usually Wednesdays. And what happens is, we'll batch all the applications, we'll process them, we'll run them through an algorithm. It's a very fair process, just looking at credit, criminal history, eviction history, and rental history, and we'll give each applicant a score. Goes through the algorithm, comes out with a score. And then the highest scoring applicant, the person with the most qualified, is gonna get an email from us offering the unit. And if they don't follow through, if they don't pay the deposit, sign the lease, pay the first month's rent, that kind of stuff, then a couple days later, we'll offer it to number 2, and so on and so forth. If you don't get selected for the process, then what's going to happen is your application can be moved to a different property for up to 60 days. So you don't have to reapply, you don't have to pay the application fee again, you just have to let us know that you want to move your application to a different property. Keep in mind, when we do move it to a different property, it's still a competitive process. You're still going to be, in the running, if you will, against other people. A couple key points to remember, that we need to get all the applicants who are going to be over the age of 18 for the property before we can even process it. So if you've got 3 people that are all going to live together, all 3 of them have to apply and make sure that they fill out the application, get everything submitted, and do it all, and then we will group all those together, and then we'll process those applications. So if only 2 apply, we won't even start the process for those 2. We have to have all 3. The other thing is, everyone over the age of 18 who does an application also has to pay the application fee, because we're going to do a background screening on all the individuals who are going to be on the lease. So I hope that helps you understand our process and kind of answers the questions of how the application process works. If you still have questions, please feel free to reach out to our team. Of course, our website is renteclipse.com, but our phone number is 719-581-RENT. And you can also come into our office, any of those works, and hopefully someone on our team can get your questions answered. Thank you, and have a great day.